we had no choice there. I'm here today because I'm really working towards getting the party nomination. I have spent time with some of our party chairs. I've gotten a nod from the LaSalle County chair, as well as our Democratic Party that was in the other night at our conference and our elections at night. It's hard to speak for them, because I just think that it's better if I talk to you. And I tell you why I want to do this. I do want community support. Today is about you and not about me. It's about saying why you're displeased with what's going on in Washington, what you want to see as a candidate. And I'm just here to tell you that I want to be that Democratic candidate. So, again, I am working with the chairs to try to be slated. It is a long process. You have to get a lot of things done. A lot of people moving, but this is going to be grassroots because, like we said, we have no money. This is going to be totally grassroots organization, people to people, person to person, and I am willing to travel all over this district because I think it's important. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, obviously I don't look like anybody in Texas. I do not. And the reason for that is obviously I'm sick. 9 years ago I had an accident that left me a T6 paraplegic for the rest of my life. I've spent 6 weeks in the hospital, 16 months in rehab. I have been on every social safety net program there is, and I'm here to tell you that they work. They work. Had I not had those things in place, my family would have been homeless, and I would have been dead. I used them all: Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, Department of Rehabilitation, free lunch program for my kids, the lean card on occasion. And now, 9 years later, I'm off of all of them except for Social Security, and I will voluntarily take myself off of Social Security next month because I have found a job that pays well. The reason I have a job is because the government invested in me. They saw me, I was down. It's what happens in this country. People fall down. And the safety net is supposed to be there to protect you. And it did for me. It did everything it was supposed to do to allow me to survive. And anybody who tells you that they're getting rich living on the public dime is lying. Because you're not. You barely get enough to survive, and had it not been for my family and my fiance and my community, I would not survive. But I used Pell Grant to go to school. And I went to Illinois Valley Community College, and not only did I get my associate's degree, but I found my voice. I've always been a talker. I had a full-time job when I got hurt. I had private insurance. I was running a restaurant. I was also a part-time radio DJ in WJDK. So, yeah. But I found my voice advocating for people who could not or would not, for some reason, stand up for themselves and say this is wrong. We discriminate against the poor, the disabled, the elderly, the sick, because they don't have an advocate in Washington because we don't have any money. The people in power who shove all of this money, especially from Citizens United, shove it in our faces, and this is an investment for them. They invest in a candidate so that they can change policy the way they want to benefit them. Nobody in those invulnerable has that, and I want to be that. A voice of common sense that says we cannot gut the programs that help so many people. But I went on to school, like I said, found my voice, advocated, finished my undergraduate at Aurora University in 2011, and then got a master's degree in social work in 2011. I have volunteered as a domestic violence director for the summer, where I saw the director sleeping on the couch because there were no funds and they were going to have to shut it down, but she stayed and slept on the couch for 3 months, every day, to keep it open. There's dedication to ones who work in public service, and I think we've gotten to the point where we demonize it. It's become demoralizing to be poor. With the people who work with that every day, like I do, we see that people's spirit still exists as long as they have someone there with them, but when they don't, they're gone. I finished my master's degree at Aurora University. I'm now a licensed social worker. I'm a certified drug and alcohol counselor, and now I work as a hospice social worker, working with their families, working with the elderly, the dying, and the families as they transition to the last phase of their life. I see the dignity that they have, but the desperation when there's no funds. People making choices on whether or not they can survive or take care of themselves based on whether or not they have health care. I'll take questions. policies in place in Washington that we need to fix. There's some things that happen to our workers that I don't agree with. Like the 2006 law that passed that puts a noose around the Postal Service, and we need to repeal that law. No other agency, private or public, has ever been forced to pre-fund 75 years in advance of their retirement. No one. And the government has done that. Now, that needs to be Project One when we get there. Is to repeal that law, protect the pension that's in place so it can't be rated, allow the post office to be competitive and save those jobs, because that's thousands of people out of work. And your local post office is your local piece of government. So we do the best we can with that. You know, when you see your little postal lady, she comes to your house, there are a lot of elderly people who get their medicine through that, have it delivered to them. The private industry is not required to be with you every day. Or to come out to service you 6 days a week. They don't have to. It's not profitable for them, so they don't. So we need to save that. The other thing is about responsible money spending in our government. We have shipped jobs overseas, and they've been rewarded to do it. And I think that needs to change. When our country had its greatest economic problem, President Penn knew that building and manufacturing in this country was the way out there. And we need to do that again. The law is still on the books, but we either don't pay attention to it or it's been warped so much that you don't even recognize it anymore. It's called the Buy American Act. If our federal government is going to do business with the American people and they're going to use tax dollars to do it, they should do it here. Everything from steel to staples, customer service, and copy paper, and everything in between. We can't do it overnight, but we can do it. Okay. The 10 minutes was a little hard for me. I'm kind of the speech was 7 minutes long. So, because I live this every day and I see what it does, and I live in a very small community. I'm from LaSalle County outside of Ottawa. My husband works in a factory. And you know what? It's a union factory, and I'm just going to be honest about it. I'm glad it is, because I know that he lives in some very dangerous places. And I love the fact that there are some safeguards in place that make sure that he comes home to me every day. Because that is important to me and my family. Big corporations don't have accountability to their workers. They're not in business to make jobs. You know who is the job creator? Every person in this room. When you have money and you go into a place of business and you spend your dollar, you are creating jobs because you're creating demand. Not the big corporations. We need to save over the next few months, if I become the Democratic nominee on the ballot, which I hope I am, you will all get a chance to come out and meet me, and I'm going to need every person to put boots on the ground, hand in hand, save our story, say why we need the choice. Because Adam Kinzinger does not speak for us, he does not vote for us, and he's been in politics since he was 20. And we need someone who has not been there before, who will say, you know what, common sense says, you people know what you're doing. You know better things. So, again, I do not sound like a politician because I'm not one. I'm a common sense person, and I do believe that common people can do uncommon things and we can change it. I want to be your nominee. My name is Wanda Rohl. Please vote for me. I completely understand what you're going through. Being working in nursing homes and I've been on Medicaid right here. The one thing about Medicaid, is that it's funded through states. And unless we have more revenue coming in, then our states are not going to be able to have the revenue that they need to take care of the citizens of their state. Medicaid, unfortunately, it really is a state issue, but the funding comes from the federal government. When it comes to Social Security, the biggest problem is, honestly, and I don't know how well this plays in the room, but there's cap on, right? I pay Social Security tax on 100% of my income because I make less than $110,000 a year. You make more than that, you start paying a smaller percentage based on your income. So those of us at the bottom pay more percentage-wise in tax. I do believe I heard Eric Hanner or one of them the other day saying that 45% of low-income Americans don't pay income tax. They don't pay income tax because they don't make enough money. So, but we do disproportionately pay other taxes. We pay state tax, we pay Medicare tax, we pay all of that. So we need fair taxation. And right now in Washington, they won't even consider it. That Buffett rule that just went through? If we actually, it passed with a simple majority. So because they have the filibuster rule, you have to have a supermajority to get what they want. Okay, to get that. Because the majority of people want fair taxation. It needs to be simplified. Medicare, Medicaid, all of those things need to be preserved because you should not be making those decisions, healthcare decisions like that. We are the only first world nation who has a for-profit healthcare system. So, think what you want about Obamacare. It helps people. It also helps Medicare. It helps make it more solvent. It makes it easier. It also changes how the hospitals look at patients. It's a huge change. It really is. But I think we need somebody who's seen both sides of it to make sure that it works.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with you and then Dave.
My name's Frank Egan. Okay, one, what country of labor? Conservative, liberal, progressive, and if you define yourself, I define myself as conservative, progressive. You know, I watch the buck, but I move forward. And most people, you get a lengthy conversation, and they hear the famous idea of penning these words. Plain and simple. We've got reactionary conservatives in a certain power, they're being nice, with a certain movement there. They want to go back to 1740. You know, let's have private roads and private everything. How would you describe yourself that is simple? On a ballot, you can't. On a bumper sticker, you can't put down 20,000 words.
In a word?
And simply I describe myself as a conservative progressive. How would you describe yourself?
I'm a progressive Democrat. I'm a worker. So, you know, I think that lets my family budget, and I think that we need to have a little more conversation about how we can do bigger budgets. But yes, I am a conservative, I know you said conservative, I'm not. Anyway, shape, or form, sorry. But it doesn't mean that I don't hold some conservative values. I can identify with that. You know, I live on a farm. I own a gun. Actually, we own several. My husband was in the Marine Corps. My son is a Marine Corps coolie. That means he's already signed pen and paper, ready to go to his graduates. A lot of people don't know that. But I'm a worker. I am a laborer. I am an average American. I am not a CEO. I am not that. But I am a progressive. I don't think we should have discrimination of any kind. Those types of things. So that makes me a liberal. That might be how other people define me. That's fine. But yeah, I'm definitely a progressive Democrat.
We need 21st century technology to start becoming the norm as far as manufacturing. The subsidies for the oil industry and the billions without it, they don't need any more. Would you be in support of taking those subsidies for oil and transferring it over to 21st century technologies, whatever that may be, cylinder and not mistake?
No, they took it up on our money.
We do need to invest, though, in new technologies and that type of thing, but yeah, I totally don't think that, you know, they're making huge profits, not paying taxes. So, yeah, we need to look at the corporate welfare, because they like to talk about welfare in Washington and how it's bad. Let's look at the type that benefits corporations, not investments. Okay, we need to look at new investment. We have to do that kind of thing. And there needs to be some tax breaks for those things. But it has to be looked at. Just because we've done it before, it doesn't mean we should continue to do it.
Years ago, 65% of all students received Pell Grants. Today it's down to 35%. And the next crisis facing us is the student debt crisis about to hit with over $1 trillion in student debt. If you look around the room, there's not a lot of younger faces in here. As a candidate, are you willing to take the risks to basically call for higher taxes on the rich to restore the promise of a real education for our people? And again, I raise it because a lot of our Democrats have been falling into the austerity trap, which is they're now talking about how much they're going to cut. It's going to be less than Republicans. I think we've got to go the other way. I think we've got to aggressively say we need to tax the rich and restore opportunity for our young people to pursue a real education. Without, I also work for a teachers union, and I can tell you, I'm sick of $30,000 a year teachers with $60,000 and $70,000 debts. I mean, I'm running across them all over the state, and we can't sustain that.
I completely agree. I just graduated, and even though I got Pell Grants and scholarships, I'm sitting on a $30,000 debt because I needed it to be able to pay for gas and that type of thing because I commuted. And when you work 3 unpaid internships, you need the student loan. I agree. The thing is, when we talk about tax prevention, that sounds like class warfare, and that's where they pull us in, and it creates an infight. For me, it's more about we truly need to look at where we're at, and we don't really have a spending problem in this country. We have a funding problem in this country, and we need to change it. Yeah, and we need to keep the rates lower on student loan, provide them more opportunities. You know, as somebody who just got out of school and it took me 6 months to find a job, I got my first loan payment before I got my first paycheck. That's really scary. We need to fix it, but I think the Pell Grants need to be more available, and I don't like the idea that the new budget proposed by the House cut Pell Grants. Community college is a vital part of our life, and we need higher education as an investment in our future, and I totally agree. My philosophy is a little different. As the wife of somebody who served in our country, we were lucky to serve during peace. But as a mom who's about ready to send her kid off to the military, I don't think that we need to be the place of the world. We don't. We spend more money in this country as is like the cash cow. We don't touch it. It needs to be looked at. We need to stop the privatization that we're doing with all the contractors that go overseas, and then they don't always abide by the rules. But the military budget needs to include more than bullets and tanks. Yeah, we provide for them to go off to other worlds, and we're nation building somewhere else, but we're forgetting to do it here at home. But we don't take care of our vets when they come home either. So they're dying by their own hands at an alarming rate. We have veterans who are coming home because there's no jobs, they're in economic crisis, they don't have the services, and hate to tell you, but when you cut Medicare and you do it in a rural area, your vets who are disabled use Medicare. So we need reintegration services, we need to put their health in there, we need to reinvest. We're going to have a military budget that needs to be comprehensive and take care of all. Because you know what? Our military voluntary. And like my son, who put pen to paper and said he would pick up a gun and go to the scary places and fight the people that we don't even know about, and we don't see. We've been at war for over 10 years. And they deserve more than a parade when they get home. So I think, yeah, the budget needs to be looked at. It's not the holy grail that we don't touch, but there needs to be some common sense to it. It may not be the popular thing, but I like socialism. I've seen medicine from both sides, so I know where you're at. I've seen it as a patient and as a clinician, because I've worked in the hospital. And I know that when you're talking about, the medications that you need, how to stay out of bankruptcy, same thing. I get it. I've seen my goddaughter die from cancer because her family couldn't afford medication. You just have to. I really like socialized medicine. I'm sorry, and I know people don't, but I love care. I just know what my insurance policy is, what we pay out of my paycheck, and I wouldn't mind paying a little bit more out of my paycheck if it was a percentage like other countries do. Yeah. We have a for-profit healthcare. You know how you make profit in healthcare? You let people die, or you charge them so much that they can't afford it. So yeah, if I get sent to Washington, you better believe I'm going to protect Obamacare, and I would like to see it get better because single payer is generally. If I become the candidate, it's going to be grassroots. And I think they made the biggest mistake when they said that corporations could give unlimited funds. That's all corporations. Unions, big corporations, they can because we don't have campaign reform right now. So, does that mean that I have to play the game the way it's done? Yeah, right now I do, but I do see that it needs to be changed. We need to have a different type of campaign financing, and that the Citizens United needs to go with the return. And I don't think people are very happy with it. I think what they thought would happen is not how it's become. And so, that's my opinion. I just think it's significant amount of the foreclosures have been shown to be fraudulent. So that's one thing. And regulation of the banks and the lending process. When we saw these interest-only mortgages and those types of things, that is representative of not enough regulation. There's consumer protection, and you're right. The amount of people that are losing their homes is a very scary thing. And I'll be honest, I don't own my home. I rent it because I've been disabled for 9 years now. For me, it's more about the fact that we need to be able to work with the banks, and they need to be forced to do certain things for the homeowner to keep you in your home. So for me, that's my simple answer is we need to have consumer protection, make sure that the loans and the foreclosures were not fraudulent, and to really kind of bring in the banks so that they can't just shut people out of their houses.
In the interest of time, and I think we're going to take 2 more questions. The individuals that already raised their hands, and we'll call the questions to a close, and then we'll move on to vote.
Hi, my name is John Walsh. I'm a trustee with the Village of Durant, and I was going to throw my hat in the ring with you guys, but I can see you guys are well more prepared than I am at this point in time in my life. Actually, one of the statements I'd like to make to you is, what is your feeling on public housing? And why I ask that is because I feel right now we're rewarding young people that do the wrong thing. They get free housing in the projects, Rockford's building new projects, which we don't need. We have the worst crime rate in the United States, and that's only going to contribute to it more. And then we give cash money and link cards to people that aren't doing anything with their life, and they don't even try to go to school, have a GED or nothing. Or like myself, currently, I get laid off 3 months a year. I don't qualify for any of those programs because of the fact that they look at my money before child support comes out and before back taxes come out, and I pay more tax than some of these rich people that you're talking about. I actually owe $2,600 for this last year, and I was laid off 6 months. So, you know, the system's a little screwed up, and I kind of want to know what you're going to do about the free hand-me-downs. Why don't we reward the kids, give kids free housing when they're going to college, not kids that are selling drugs?
Well, I'll be honest. I understand because I've worked with the poor every day, and I've seen what happened. If we do not invest in early education and allow people to have opportunities, they end up on government assistance. It's a very vicious cycle to get out of. There are disincentives for people that stay on the program, because if you make $5 too much and you lose your Medicaid, guess what? They're going to choose to not work because they need to have health insurance. The system needs to be fixed because there are things in it that make you stay within the system. And I can give you my example. I didn't get married for 9 years so I could keep on so I could have medical insurance. I took a huge risk and got married so I could have that. So we need to fix the problem from inside, and blaming the people who are poor doesn't help. It doesn't help.
Jennison, I'm with Steelworkers Union, so I wouldn't know where I stand on that. You know, we hear the workers get blamed for a lot of problems these days. Not supposed to be the right way. My question to both of y'all was, where do you stand on unions?
Like I said, my husband works in the union shop. He was a union carpenter out of 174. I think that union workers have gotten the bad end of the stick. We blame them. With this right to work legislation, which they should call it what it is, the right to work for less legislation, the average family income goes down by about $5,000 in places like that. Workplace incidents go up. We want to have a vibrant middle class. We need good jobs, and those union jobs help that. We've forgotten where we came from. The workplace safety rules that we have, the 8 for 8, 40-hour So, do I think that we should have stronger unions? Yes, I do. I am a union person. I do not work for a union, but my husband does. So, I'm here for labor, and I think that the union guys have gotten a bad rap. We cannot blame them for our problems. We should actually thank them for